everyone, that's the story it says here. Okay, so I have this video called Our Teacher Made Girls Shave Their Armpits in Front of a Class, which is kind of a weird title to start with. It's from this fan page on Facebook. I don't know if on YouTube, but they're called Minute Videos, and they do some really hard-hitting, powerful videos. I will try and put links and credits in the comment section, description. But yeah, I've seen a couple of these, and I will try and do more reaction videos to them. But this one, it just kind of sounds a little bit, I don't know. I hope a teacher wouldn't do this, but let's see.
I had never seen our teacher, Mr. B, so angry before. And to be honest,
no.
we were all afraid of what he might do to us at this point. When he turned around to look at Mutsa,
don't
he started yelling,
I don't know how they do things back in your African hellhole, Mutsa,
that is so
but here
wrong.
in the States, we have what we call standards.
My name is Alicia Turner, and this is my story. When I was in 6th grade, I had a science teacher named Mr. Beksinski, but we had taken to calling him Mr. B for short, as is the tendency of judgmental 6th graders everywhere, who were very much in the habit of designating what, and more importantly, who was weird and who wasn't.
Oh, no.
Mr. B was a shoo-in.
That's one thing I hated about science in school.
Everybody was
having like animals in jar. It just creeped me out.
All throughout his classroom,
but
Mr. B had dead animals preserved in formaldehyde in jars. They were absolutely everywhere, including on the walls. We would make up stories about how he'd kill them himself. Not to mention, Mr. B had an ice-cold demeanor and a sometimes far-away look in his eyes. And the general feeling among the kids in his class was that this man was capable of anything. Every time Mr. B handed us back our papers, he would offer feedback and advice on how we might do better on our next assignment. Just general helpful stuff. One of my best friends in the class was Mutsa. She was a great student. She was consistently getting above average grades. One day, however, she received a test back from Mr. B with a score that was noticeably low for her. We were all shocked by her mark, as it was a little odd, but not necessarily cause for alarm. What happened next, though, was entirely unexpected, even for Mr. B. Now, don't get me wrong. It's perfectly normal for teachers to express disappointment in their students. Mr. B, however, was twitching like he had something in his eye and didn't want to fish it out. He was clearly angry, but it was as though he was suppressing a blind rage. Then he locked his focus in on Mutsa and started shouting,
I don't know how they do things back in that African hellhole of yours, Mutsa, but here in the United States of America, we have a little thing called standards. I'd suggest you might benefit from familiarizing yourself with the concept.
Mutsa was born in Zimbabwe, but moved with her parents to the U.S. at a young age. In any way you can think of, she's just your typical young American girl.
A week? He got suspended for a week?
When people got word of what Mr. B had
said,
should have
been suspended longer
and furious.
Investigation.
Parents and students worked together to make sure that he faced some sort of consequences, and he was eventually suspended for a week. Following his return, however, he told the class that he had been away sick. Nobody rocked the boat or risked provoking his anger by pointing out this bald-faced lie, and we were relieved to watch the next few months pass by uneventfully and without incident. He was certainly one of the stricter teachers, and I would be surprised if anyone said they looked forward to his classes. But, all in all, it appeared as though he may have actually learned from the incident with Mutsa all those months ago. But this peace was not to last. One day, my friend Olivia was innocently minding her business, entirely unaware she was to be the target of Mr. B's dormant wrath. With a customary adios, Mr. B had seemingly dismissed the class, prompting Olivia to shuffle her books and leave the room. While waiting outside the door with a friend from her forthcoming English Lit class, she was chatting cheerfully and mindlessly, while Mr. B was standing there fuming.
How is he a teacher?
He stormed out of the classroom with fury in each step, and on finding Olivia, grabbed her by her arm and started pulling and shaking her. Olivia froze with fear. Apparently the class was not finished. Olivia, however, had no idea what she'd done wrong. Mr. B proceeded to drag her by her shirt collar back into the classroom while she was consumed with terror. Mr. B yelled at her to sit back down. When Olivia failed to move, he slammed her into her seat and marched back to the blackboard before resuming the class as though nothing had happened. While Olivia had suffered humiliation and a smattering of bruises from the experience, the incident was to prove to be fatal for Mr. B's career as a teacher, at our school at least. Parents, the principal, students, and teachers, all mortified, agreed that serious action needed to be taken. Mr. B was soon fired, and we all breathed a collective sigh of relief.
That is just...
We later learned that other students before us had fallen victim to Mr. B's bizarre and threatening behavior. One incident that stood out in my mind was when he apparently made a pair of girls shave their armpits in front of the whole class. I've never dealt with a teacher, or even an authority figure before or since, who made me feel as unsafe as Mr. B did.
How was this guy
and unfortunately,
even allowed to be a
despite
teacher?
over a year having passed, it's a feeling that persists.
No wonder why kids
It's a darker, more somber
issues
world
with
when you are
authority
acutely
figures.
aware that you can't necessarily trust anyone completely, despite them occupying a position of great authority over you. Or perhaps sometimes you can, but to do so always comes with a degree of risk. I feel more in touch with some of the grim realities of life now.
Definitely,
and that isn't a bad thing. But when you don't trust as easily, or you feel you have to consciously evaluate a person's behavior before you can really relax around them, some of the fun is taken out of life. I suppose what I'm describing is the innocence of childhood and how it can slip away. Everyone from my grade 6 science class has moved on in their own way, and our time with Mr. B is a topic that never seems to come up. Some have seen their grades slip. Some students are doing well and seem stronger than before. Some are noticeably distant, and some, like lots of kids, are starting to experiment with alcohol and drugs. For those who appear to be on a negative path, it's hard to know to what extent they're just growing up, making mistakes and finding their way in life, and to what extent our year with Mr. B left a lasting...
Because I had some pretty good teachers, but I also had some pretty bad teachers. I might actually tell this story in story time video because, yeah, I think I will. I'm not going to tell it here, but I will tell it in a story time video. But I had some pretty lousy teachers. And there's no way he should have been a teacher, not at all. I just don't understand how he went on so long. And yeah, I'm gobsmacked at that. And the thing is, those stories, some of them, a lot of them are true. Some are just stories that people want to tell, but a lot of them are true. And it's sad that people's gone through that. And I just don't understand how he went so long and not being pulled up on it. That is just awful, those poor kids. But anyway, for now, I'm going to say, love you lots and lots like jelly tots, and I keep it wicked weird. Bye, see ya.